Now, I guess where I'm not understanding is that I'm not sure what is so hard to comprehend that I only give my readings to people who are smiling. Hey, girl. Hello, my beautiful Aries. How are you doing? My name is SimplyVelca, and I'm going to be doing your weekly general reading this week. Now, Aries, I also do your weekly love reading between you and your soulmate, which I'll leave a link to over here for you to check out at a later point. But when it comes to any of my readings, Aries, be sure to rely on your intuition because, put it in perspective, I'm just a man reading some tarot cards to you. You know your situation better than I ever possibly could, so take the cards that resonate and leave what doesn't because I promise you, I'm not going to be offended by it whatsoever. If you find some cards that resonate with you, though, be sure to leave me a like and subscribe because it does help out my channel a lot, and I always am super appreciative when you guys take the time to do that for me. And then also let me know in the comments below what card called out to you the most. I always like to hear about your aha moment that you have in my readings, or something that you feel like was pulled specifically for you, because that's how I keep up with y'all, is through the comments. And then lastly, this reading is just here to give you some perspective this week, Aries, hopefully anyways. I'm not here to make a decision for you because at the end of the day, it is your life to live, right? Not mine. So this is hopefully here to give you some perspective, but not to make a final say, final decision in your life. So keep that in mind. And with all that being said, let's start getting into your reading now, Aries. For your overall energy this week, we have the Queen of Pentacles with the Three of Swords. Now, first impressions, I do feel like this isn't, like, I know because, like, even though there's pentacle energy here, I do kind of feel like just because of the dynamic of how the Queen of Pentacles naturally is, and with it being paired with the Three of Swords, I do feel like you feel kind of burned or hurt in some type of situation, Aries. Betrayed, I feel. Betrayed did come out really big. How do I explain this? Queen of Pentacles, she's always about herself, that sense of, like, you know, not needing anybody, really. She's different from the Queen of Cups in that, like, the Queen of Cups, she doesn't need anybody, but she really does deep down crave love. Whereas the Queen of Pentacles, she's kind of like the individual who is kind of more so discontent being by herself, right? Rather being by herself, doesn't really have an urge at all with sharing her company or energy with anybody, because she would rather just be in her own wealth, be in her own company. Three of Swords gives it the reason as to why you're feeling this way this week, Aries, is where you're experiencing some type of pain. And I can't help but feel like something puts you in this place where it's just like you'd rather just be alone. You'd rather just not work with anybody. You'd rather just not talk to anybody because all it does is bring you pain. And, you know, just from my perspective, it makes me wonder what puts you in this position. I mean, some of you Aries may just be, already say it's just like you're antisocial and you don't want to talk to anybody. But let's get into your reading. Let's get into these cards now. For your first row, we have the Five of Wands. So this is also confirming to me of some type of conflict. I really do feel like you were put into this Queen of Pentacles because of some type of reason, whether it's because of a person, Aries, or whether it's because of something just not working out. Or maybe this is just like, maybe this is just one of those weeks, Aries, where you're just not feeling it, right? And that's completely normal. That's completely fine if you're just not feeling it this week. Maybe this is just one of those off weeks for you. We have the Ten of Swords coming in as well. Just more talks about like more pain, and I know in this deck it's not really, the images doesn't really do it justice, but I kind of associate this card with some type of pain, from outside pain being put. Let me just show you in this other deck here, because I just clearly have all my decks all around me, because it is important for me to relay the message in this case, Aries. But I see it as like some type of outside pain, someone else putting these swords in your back that you didn't anticipate. But when it comes to this deck, the one that we pulled the Ten of Swords in, it shows to me that you're kind of overcoming some type of pain in this situation. So it lets me know that this is kind of like old wounds resurfacing almost, where I kind of get the imagery. Okay, here it is. I kind of get the imagery where these swords, maybe they're like new, like replaced back into these old wounds that you've had, maybe from the same person, same situation, or similar. This is what I was talking about, this Ten of Swords, where it's just like these were put into your back. Now in this Ten of Swords, this lets me know where I just feel more nostalgia when it comes to this pain, where I feel like this is not something that, it just hits deeper, I feel. Really hits deep. And then we have the Knight of Swords in the reverse for you. So I actually like this card in the reverse for you. And let me explain why. Because when this is in the upright, this would let me know as someone that's kind of running away from a situation, running away potentially from this person, from this conflict or whatever, right? You would be running away into like the woods or into the forest is something I keep seeing, right? But when it's in the reverse, you're kind of forcing yourself to be in this pain. You're not evacuating. You are, in fact, planting your feet in here and be like, no, I'm going to work through this. And that has to be an extremely empowering feeling, Aries. And I'm so proud of you and I celebrate you for that because it's letting me know that you're not allowing whatever is triggering you, whatever puts you in this place, whatever this pain is with this Three of Swords, you're not allowing it to overpower your own energy or overpower what it is that you're trying to accomplish in your life. So really good energy here. Let's get into the clarifiers though. For your Five of Wands, we have the Ten of Wands. So this conflict is definitely something that is weighing heavy on you when it comes to this person. And dare I say, since maybe it didn't feel expected with that Ten of Swords here, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe, like, I feel like right now, for some of you Aries, you're trying to get into this place of overcoming something, forgiving something, moving on from something, and you'll have maybe like a really good few hours, and then like you'll switch back up and just like the weight of the baggage or like the baggage of some type of conflict. It's almost like you can't let go of something, right, when it comes to this conflict, and it just keeps weighing you down. Kind of Swords, the clarification comes with the Nine of Swords here. So it's weighing you down. It's really in your head, Aries. And so that's why I guess it's kind of impressive from my point of view to see how much is really taxing you mentally, this situation, this conflict, whatever it is that I'm getting. Like, while it's taxing you hardcore mentally, you're not giving up in it. But it's really taking a toll on you. So, I mean, I am going to suggest, just because I did keep on seeing the woods and the forest, maybe really go out into nature and find a way to ground yourself, Aries. Go out and hug a tree. Tell your problems to the tree, to nature, to the trees. I always say trees don't charge you nearly as much as a therapist, right? For your Knight of Swords, in the reverse, we have the King of Wands. So this is why you're doing this. This is why you're planting your feet in the ground, because it's like you're almost, I would say you're almost realizing that you're over this something being part of your story. So let's just say before you always were used to feeling like walked over, stepped on, but now you're coming from this place now after this last situation, while it's taxing on you mentally, you're realizing like, no, this is something that you need to push back on. That's why you can't let it go, perhaps. Or this is something where it's just like you try to overcome it, and this is more so one of those things of being like, no, like, I can't overcome this, I can't work through this in my head, and we need to work through this in some type of way, because you can't, like, I do feel like you just can't move on from this. Like, there's just like this energy where you feel stuck in this, where it's like something's haunting you a lot, stopping you from going forward, it feels this week, Aries. Seven of Wands comes in with your Ten of Wands and the Five of Wands. I mean, it's interesting from a tarot perspective in that, like, all your cards are conflict associated when it comes to this. Like, you really feel like you're alone. Like, you can't feel, like, it does feel like whatever this conflict was, it's kind of broken your trust in that individual, but maybe just in people in general, because now you're just like, you don't know who to trust anymore, because whatever this conflict was, it really kind of shocked you, and just kind of like, you don't know. It just feels like it's almost like a fork in the road randomly just appeared in your path that you just didn't really want to be there. Strength card comes in with that Nine of Swords. So this is definitely triggering a lot of your own stuff. Maybe you're kind of seeing this person as like the lesson, right? Maybe this person or the situation they're not at fault if it's a person necessarily, or maybe they're not entirely at fault. Or maybe this is one of those things where they did something which really brought something out in you, caused you to react strongly, which caused them to react strongly, and then it's just like a whole spiral from there, right? The Strength card does also let me confirm to me that this is partially why some of you Aries are sticking with this as well, because you're sensing that this is something to do, to work through, to do your own shadow work with. Knight of Pentacles with this King of Wands. So I was getting this sensation earlier as well. Aries, you're using this energy not only in terms of working through this um, with yourself and like trying to mature yourself more emotionally and mentally through this type of conflict happening this week, but I also see you like randomly, oddly utilizing this in terms of like your finances as well and creatively. Like I feel like you're using this to fuel you in more ways that one would normally anticipate. Aries, your last few cards, we have the Temperance card. Patience at this time, so kind of ride this out a little bit longer, Aries. I would say this week, um, don't make any official decisions. This is a week where I feel like you're kind of just going to be experiencing emotions. You're going to be experiencing a range of emotions this week. Prepare for it, but don't commit. Don't treat these emotions that you feel this week as your reality. Yeah, right now you may be experiencing that anxiety with that Nine of Swords. You may be wanting to walk away from like these people that you had conflict with this Five of Swords, but this Five of Swords also asks you to be the bigger person, right? And that it is next to your Strength card with your anxiety Nine of Swords. So this is kind of like the challenge this week for you. It's just like, how are you going to respond to your own thoughts, and like are you going to allow like a potential spiral make you commit to a decision of leaving somebody, or are you going to, or a situation, moving on from something, or are you going to work through this, do some shadow work on this, see what this is here to teach you? But we do have the Five of Pentacles as like, it's not going to be an easy journey regardless. It's not going to be an easy choice this week, Aries. Even if you choose, like, there's no right decision, I feel like, necessarily this week, even though I know I sounded biased and where I'm kind of suggesting for you to like allow this to trigger you. But I just don't feel like you should make a decision this week. It's just the anxiety and stuff comes with it, and just like sit with this anxiety, sit with like this stress, and see how you can utilize it for other parts, but also just most importantly, see what it's here to teach you. But overall, I do feel really good about your reading, even though it was pretty heavy, the cards themselves, Aries. I do see you persevering through this really strongly. You're going through a lot, but you're not allowing it to consume you, which is really good and commendable. So that's the reading that I have for you, Aries. If you enjoyed my reading, be sure to give me a like and subscribe, and also share my videos with a friend if you think they would be interested in my readings. But until next time, I love you so much, Aries. Bye.